Hello, welcome to my channel, and happy Valentine's Day if you're watching this on the 14th. Today I'm drawing my favorite character from Obey Me, Simeon. His birthday passed recently. It was February 11th, and I had to draw him again. I'm going to try to draw every character from Obey Me for their birthday this year. Next is Beale and Belfie, I think. I have a Beale and Belfie video coming up next week, but it isn't for their birthday. See, I drew Belfie for Valentine's Day last year, and this time I'm doing Simeon. I made a drawing video for Simeon last year, and the difference between this drawing and that drawing is huge. Like, I couldn't really tell how much I've improved until I really compared those two drawings. I still like the other one. I think it's really cute still, but this one came out so much better, and I was happy to see like the improvement in between the two. The background was really fun for me to work on. I would say it was difficult, but fun. I don't have a lot of practice drawing scenery, so I wanted to, well, lately I've been wanting to practice more with drawing complete scenes. And this one came out really good. Like, I didn't stress too much about it because I knew I was going to blur it a little bit. So I just ended up putting a bunch of blobs and like vague shapes and plants and stuff, and I really like the way that it turned out. Backgrounds are usually pretty difficult for me to do, especially adding a character into a background and just making the whole scene look cohesive and like it goes together. And also it's just hard for me to come up with a scene without having a reference for every single part of the drawing. I have a really hard time drawing from imagination, or just coming up with something and putting it in. I feel like I need a reference for every single thing to make sure I'm drawing it correctly. So yeah, I've been really trying to work on that. And lately just my drawings have been feeling very, I guess, kind of boring. So I feel like adding scenes will make me more excited about drawing, but at the same time it kind of makes me hesitate to draw because I don't know how well the picture's going to turn out, and I don't like failing, so it's like I need the drawing to come out good. It's like I need it to come out good, or I feel like the drawing session was a waste. And I shouldn't think like that, because every time you practice, you're working towards getting better. So even if it turns out bad, you still should have tried, to learn from that. But I feel like, if I fail at drawing something or it doesn't turn out good, I just wasted my time doing that. And I hate feeling that way, so I try to only, stick to things that I know how to draw or I feel like I can make decent. I spent forever trying to find references for this drawing. Like, I wanted a specific scene, and I couldn't really find like the setting with the type of pose that I wanted all in one. And so I had to pretty much, well, I made a reference. I went to my pose app and I made a specific pose that I wanted, and then I went to Pinterest and found the background and I put it all together, and the reference is pretty ugly, but it did the job. It did what I needed it to do. So I'll be doing that a lot more, but also practicing, just putting things together from my head and see, how that turns out. I'm just really bad at doing perspective, and also having the foreground and the background match like color palette wise. It's hard. It's really hard choosing colors and figuring out what goes good together without muting each other out. Because I want the character to stand out the most, but you want the colors to still look cohesive, in the scenery. And sometimes it's just hard picking out, how things would look, but also not distracting from the main focus of the drawing. And then also lighting. I'm not good at lighting if I don't have a reference for it. So I have to practice a lot doing that. There's another reason why I wanted to draw Simeon, and that's because I'm going to be making a Simeon mini comic. I made a really short Simeon fan fiction. Well, it feels funny saying I wrote a fan fiction, so let me just say I wrote a comic. I wrote a Simeon comic, and I'm going to be illustrating the whole thing. By this time, well, last year, I thought by this time I would have already started illustrating it, but I only just finished the script like a month ago, and I still have to rewrite a lot of the lines in the script because of the way I wrote Simeon. Really, I feel like his personality didn't match enough to how he is in the game, so I pretty much have to rewrite all of his parts and change some scenes. So yeah, I'm still working on that, but I will start illustrating it this year for sure. And it'll be like a webtoon style comic, so the scroll down type. So I think I'm not sure how many episodes it's gonna be. I only planned at first for it to be about like 2, but it's not gonna happen that way. It's gonna have to be way longer. And I'm hoping to be able to make multiple Obey Me comics. I think next will be an Osmo comic, because I already have an idea for the plot for that one, so I think that one will be really fun. But for the Simeon one, I really need practice drawing him, so I'm going to be drawing him a lot more. Along with everything else, I also need practice drawing characters interact with each other. I'm not good at that. Well, I can't say I'm not really good at it because I haven't really tried, but I need practice drawing characters interacting, because that's what most of the comic is. It's 2 or more characters talking to each other, doing things together, and I have no practice really doing that besides like a few commissions of like couple poses, but other than that, I don't know how to draw characters together and having their proportions be correct and equal. I feel like most of this voiceover is just me talking about what I don't know how to do, but it's true. That's a lot of things I need to work on, and maybe saying it out loud will push me to do it more. Also, I need to figure out the style I want this comic to be in, because my current art style, I feel like wouldn't work too good for comics. It's too detailed and blended and stuff. It would take forever to render each panel. So I need a simplified style that's also appealing to look at. I'm mostly using this comic as a test run to see like the process and how things would go. Oh, on this part I turned down the brightness so you can more so see the true tone of the drawing, because the exposure is so high. It's hard to really see what the drawing looks like. The real colors for the drawing, it's so much prettier than how it's showing up on camera. Like, I spent like the whole session trying to figure out how to get the colors to show up properly, but I eventually had to give up. It just wasn't working. So I just ended up leaving it overexposed. But in the video, not in the video, in the photo at the end, you'll see the true tones of the colors I picked. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm kind of using this comic as a test run to see how it would go, or the process I would like to use, because I never done anything like this before besides the other Obey Me mini comics, which is just pretty much 1 page or 2 pages long. This will be like a whole story. So it's a little bit more, or a lot more daunting than, you know, the usual comics, but I feel like it'll be fun to work on. I'm learning how to do the thumbnails for each panel. I've been doing research on how to draw, you know, different panels in Procreate, because that's what I'm going to be using. I don't have any other drawing app. So figuring out how I would want to do all the episodes and the measurements for the canvases, which is still very confusing, but I'm still figuring it out. I'm really excited to do this comic, but I'm also very nervous because I'm not a writer. Like I don't have any history writing or past practice. So it's very weird writing dialogue. It feels really embarrassing, like writing out lines. It's just something I gotta get used to, I guess. Coming up with concepts and storylines and the plots and stuff is always fun, like in the outline process. But having to actually render everything out and elaborate, it's so hard and nerve-wracking, and there's plot holes you have to worry about, and things not working together or making things sound realistic. It's really hard, especially if you don't have help doing it, and if you're embarrassed about people reading over your work. It's kind of hard to tell what's good and what's not when you don't have feedback, or when you don't have any experience doing it before. But it's still a lot of fun. I like doing it. I literally spent like 45 minutes on this drink, so I ended up cutting out most of the footage, especially since at the end I ended up covering it up. And I also got rid of the second drink because I was getting tired of working on this one, and I felt really discouraged by the first drink and how it came out. I didn't even want to try doing the second one, so I ended up just completely taking it out. And it was getting late. I feel like this was at least 2.5 to 3 hours in to coloring this drawing. And I didn't take any breaks. I colored this whole thing in one sitting. So it just took a really long time when I was really over it and just wanted to finish it up. So I ended up getting rid of that second drink, and then just doing what I could for the first one to make it look at least decent. I always draw Simeon with a drink. I've only drawn him 3 times, and even the second time I've drawn him, he had a drink as well. And I think that last time was back in October. The last time I drew him. But I think it's mostly because in game, one of his favorite items is that blue cocktail. So every time I draw him, I feel like I have to draw him with a drink. And also drinks look really cool, so I like to draw them, especially the ones I find on Pinterest. Doing his hair was probably my favorite part of the whole drawing. It came out so nice, and it was really easy to do. Like, I always used to struggle with doing hair, but lately it's like I came up with a nice routine in doing it, and it comes out good most of the time, especially dark hair. Drawing dark hair is a lot easier than drawing lighter colored hair. I really don't know how to draw white hair at all, so I need to figure out how to do that, because integrating the different colors and tones into white hair is really hard, and also struggling with not wanting to go too dark. But doing darker hair is just so much easier. You make it pop so well. And the brown in his hair just looked so good. I'm just really happy with how it turned out. His eyes look so funny in this. I hate how his eyes look. Like, I fixed them a little bit after, after this drawing was done being recorded. I worked on this drawing for like weeks after I finished recording this, because every time I looked at it, something just looked off, and I tried so hard to fix it. I think like the last time I worked on it was like 2 days ago, and that was like a month. I was like 3 weeks after recording this, and I was still finding things I wanted to change. But I ended up liquefying this one a lot after this. Like his eyes, his head shape, his whole shoulder, the one that's like more exposed. When I was drawing this, I did not realize how huge it looked. So a couple days ago, I ended up shrinking it. So I ended up doing a lot of work on it. And usually I don't do that. I usually just leave it if it's already done. But this time I really wanted it to turn out good, so I couldn't leave it alone. And something about his eyes just looked really off. Even if after I made them more even, it just kind of looked funny, looked creepy in some way, or just kind of off. So I ended up taking out the hollow highlight, the oval one, and I feel like that made it look a lot better. So I ended up taking out those highlights, and then fixing his uneven shoulder, and then his head was a little bit uneven, so I fixed that as well. Yeah, I fixed a lot of things, but I really like the way that it turned out at the end. I want to do a lot more drawings like this, a lot more complicated scenes. This one was supposed to look like you were like on a date, or like a POV type of thing. I'm not sure how well that came across. It probably would have came across better if I had the other drink on the table like I planned. But I didn't feel like doing it, so I didn't do it. But I still like the way it turned out. I feel like you still feel, I don't know, it's still, you can still tell that it's a date type of setting, I hope. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.